Welcome to a new episode of Techzine Perspective. This week we're going to talk about the world of Atlassian because Sander has been at Atlassian this week. What's the name of their event again? I forgot.
Team.
Atlassian Team in Anaheim, right?
Yes. Nice long cab drive from LAX with some very interesting cab drivers as well. But let's not get into that. Something for another time, I think.
But you're at Atlassian. They're known for Jira and Confluence. They even bought Trello, but they don't talk a lot about it. As I remember, I was at their event in Barcelona 6 months ago. I think.
Trello is being repositioned as sort of more of a personal tool, not necessarily sort of an enterprise tool that they want Jira and the other tools to be. So you use Trello more for personal planning and all that stuff.
Okay, so the focus of Team was again on Jira and Confluence.
And especially on Team, right? On Teams. That's why they call it the conference Teams. They focus a lot on teamwork and how teams interact with each other. And not only technical teams, because that was usually where things like Jira were first adopted in the technical teams of organization, but also on the business side of organization. That everybody should, in their view, everybody should be able to use the Atlassian platform to make teams work better together. I got a bit of a, the ServiceNow slogan, making work or something. I think that was a couple of years ago. I don't know if they still use it. But this was more or less similar in the sense that it was about making teams work as teams or something like that. It wasn't an official slogan, but that was how it came across to me.
Yeah, ServiceNow has a new slogan every year. The platform is a platform, and that has something to do with AI, I believe. But what I remember about Atlassian was that they were trying, because Jira is what you said, the developer tool, and Confluence is the tool for the business side of the organization. But they want to mix that up, so they want business users also to use Jira.
Not necessarily mix it up, but more integrate it better. I mean, that's the better term for this. And I think they've made quite interesting strides in the past, ever since Team in Barcelona. I think that was in October or something, or
something like that.
Yeah, and this week big announcements were mainly about how they integrated even further. So they announced something called Teamwork Collection, which is an integrated version. It's built on the Atlassian cloud, and it offers Jira, Confluence, Loom, and the Rovo AI agents, and it offers more integration as a sort of as a collection. So that's why it's called Teamwork Collection, because they also see that it wasn't necessarily very easy to buy. I mean, it's easy to buy. You say, I want to buy it, and you give your credit card, that's it. But now actually everything can actually be bought or licensed under one enterprise plan, for example. So I think that really helps in making it more accessible to try and get more than the sum of the parts out of the.
Hey, and do you know how they do the Rovo part, the AI part? Is that on a consumption model, or is that included within their licensing fee?
It's included.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
And that was one of the interesting things. They made Rovo AI agents free for all their customers.
Okay.
So all 300,000 customers have access to Rovo AI agents. It's included in the license. I mean, on the one hand, if you want to be cynical, you can say, look, they probably want to get as many people into those agents as possible, and then we'll have a price increase in a couple of years. I think for something like Atlassian, I don't think that makes a lot of sense to do it like that, because Atlassian wants to make money from the licenses for their products, and not necessarily for the use of AI, I think. But I mean, they can always say, look, we're gonna increase the licensing the licensing fees for the products, for the Teamwork Collection, or for the separate products. So I mean, but yeah, I don't necessarily always want to be so cynical, but for now at least, I think it's a very good plan.
We had several discussions with vendors about pricing of AI, because sometimes it's really expensive, and if you have 1,000 employees and you put AI underneath them, the cost can go out of control. But to be honest, I'm currently at a Google Cloud event. We're going to record a separate perspective for that. But what I learned here is that the speed in which costs of AI are going down are so rapid that we shouldn't worry too much about AI cost. Yeah, if you're doing your own custom built projects and you're building your own prompt queries and you're loading data, yeah, you should watch out how big the input and output is so you can manage the cost. But for companies who are building SaaS solutions and delivering AI features, they can control those inputs and outputs, and then the pricing can get under control because it goes down so rapid that
Yeah. Well,
that's not
and
going to
then
be an issue.
to be honest, the AI agents I saw, the Rovo AI agents I saw that they highlighted during their sessions and keynotes, they were relatively small, or relatively simple. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like you have a Loom meeting, which is their video conferencing teams kind of. We have a Loom meeting, and based on that Loom meeting, you have an AI agent that turns that Loom meeting into something something sort of a workflow or a graphical sort of representation of what was being talked about, so that everybody knows they have to do this or we have to do this before we do that. And that's not the hardest. It's not easy, but I don't think it's the most costly use of AI. It's not like you're addressing an LLM with I don't know how many tokens and queries and all that stuff. So based on that teamwork collection thing or the announcement, there's also a broader message that they wanted to get across about system of work. That sounds a bit vague, I think, but that is it's not necessarily a product. It's a framework that they want to try and tell customers you need to look at it as a holistic thing. So that's why then and so a teamwork collection you can actually see as a manifestation of that system of work framework. It is something that you need to think about. I had a chat with the president of Atlassian about this. It is something that you need to think about as an organization, how you want to do this. How do you actually want to work? And it starts with, I mean, it's not only about using the tools, it's also about making sure that you plan your strategy right. What are your objectives and what are the results that you want to achieve and all these things. They have all kinds of tools to do that. But you need to really think very, very carefully about that before you actually go and do something. I think that was basically what that system of work framework is about.
And how are they going to help customers with that? Because what I get now is they're more integrating their existing solutions. So it's a single licensing model for the AI, for Jira, for Confluence, for everything. And they want you to think how you're going to use these products. But
Yeah, I mean,
customers are thinking about how they're going to use solutions. That's
yeah.
usually not the best idea. You need
No,
to
but I
help
mean,
them and
I think
guide them. And
yeah, yeah. That made that remark as well, but they are actually building a lot of parts themselves as well. So they've already built 20 plus of those AI agents that we talked about. They've built
Mhm.
50 plus connectors to third party data sources, because even though I get the impression that Atlassian would love everybody to be on Atlassian. The reality, obviously, is that it's not the case. And some data Atlassian doesn't even generate. So you need something because they don't have a messaging service, for example. They had one, but they sold it to Slack. So now Atlassian uses Slack itself.
I also heard last time they want to be the search engine for the whole organization. Is that still a thing? Because I already
Yeah.
told them I don't
Enterprise
believe in that
search
because
is
yeah.
Research is still very much a thing. I mean, that's what they. If you go to an AI session, that's the first thing they talk about their enterprise search based on the AI that they have, and also based on the underlying infrastructure. I think that's their knowledge graph, which they don't like. They don't like it very much if you call it a knowledge graph, because they call it a teamwork graph, and that's something else. It's something different. I've heard it's better than a knowledge graph. I've tried to get
Can
more
I explain
information about
how?
this.
Or
Well, what the teamwork graph does is it not only houses all the data that you can address from different tools and different agents, but it also has a very clear view of the dependencies between all the different objects in the knowledge graph. So an object can be a message, but it can also be a file, it can be a video, it can be, and then you can connect a specific message to a specific. For me, that sounds like a knowledge graph, but I mean,
yeah, that's just the metadata of of the knowledge
that's
graph.
but maybe I've asked for more information on this, and I hope I will get it. I will get more of a deep dive from somebody into this. Uh, um, they are very good at enterprise search. I've seen demos and I've seen that is quite impressive. There is their teamwork graph is very good. I believe that. How it's exactly different,
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I believe it's good, but you also have to wonder from an enterprise organization perspective. You have so many tools. You're using Salesforce, you're using Atlassian, you're using Google, you're using AWS. They all have an enterprise search. Even Elastic has an enterprise search, and it's a search company. So maybe you rather use them than any other tooling because it's all about search. But yeah, I don't just see it yet. Even Slack has an enterprise search, you know?
I mean, I think from an adoption perspective, I think Atlassian has a lot of customers. So I mean, all the others have a lot of customers as well. So, but I do think that the search enterprise search engine or whatever you want to call it becomes better the more people use it and the more customers use it. But yeah, I'm guessing AWS has many customers as well, right? So I'm not sure
Yeah,
if that
and there's also no the part of user rights. You know, you need to take into account all the user rights. So that means, from an Atlassian perspective, you need to incorporate all those different user roles that are in all those software packages and take that into account when you search data and present it to a user. And
no,
that's
that's one
pretty
of the things
hard.
that they always. That's one of the things they always stress. It is highly personalized. The search. So partly is the underlying technology, and partly is it's the permissions that you can set up yourself as a user. But they know if a user makes a comment in one tool and does something in another tool, they know obviously that it's the same person, and they claim that it's highly personalized. Yeah. So that's why I'm a bit. I mean, I would have loved to have more of a deep dive into this week, but I didn't.
Well,
So
what's your
maybe
feeling about Atlassian at the moment? Are they on a good path towards this merge of solutions?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I spoke to a couple of customers as well. Big one customers. One of them is Domino's Pizza, but not the big incorporated one from the US, but the biggest franchisee, which is
Right.
also this. I think they have about 12,000. No, 12,000. No, that's something else. But they are the largest franchisee of Domino's Pizza. And they use it. What you see, and I also spoke to another company that does home loans. All the companies are so their customers want this because the customers that I spoke to, I speak to a curated set of customers. I don't speak to the customer that are dissatisfied. So that's always but the customers I speak to. Always they always started with just a very simple, easy implementation of Jira, and they all sort of branched out from technical teams to non-technical teams, from Jira to via Confluence to Loom, and then there is a big need at customers and in the industry for more integration in this entire teamwork sort of a dynamic. So I think they're on the right path, and I've just had a brief look at their numbers. The revenues are skyrocketing as well. I think they're at 4.5 billion now, or something like that last year. 27% up from the year before. So that's a nice. I would like those figures as well. We're working
We're
on that.
trying.
We're trying. So no, I do think this is the way to go. And yeah, well, the only thing is, and that's what I also pointed out a couple of times this week is where do you draw how do you keep the balance between lock-in and so getting everybody on your platform and being open because they are open. They build all these connectors themselves, deep integrations with the deep integrations with the third-party tools. But on the other hand, they would also love as many people as many customers as possible to buy everything that they have to offer. Obviously, so that's always it's not always easy to keep that balance. But if you make it easy enough,
Do you think they are an acquisition target for bigger tech companies? Is
well,
Atlassian
I think
interesting to buy?
I forgot the exact number, but their market cap is at that moment is on the on the higher side. So it needs to
Oh,
be. I think it's. I don't want to make stuff up, but I think it's about 60 billion or something. I don't know.
okay.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of
they
money.
are.
They're probably not.
There are not too many. I think that can buy them, and also how who would be an interesting candidate for it because they're not
Yeah,
doing some.
one of the big three hyperscalers,
Yeah,
I presume. But
yeah,
Microsoft already bought GitHub. It's different, but
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that's. I think they're a bit pricey for most maybe a big venture capital fund or whatever, but that's not really an acquisition, obviously. Well, I don't know.
Maybe Broadcom can kill another company.
Yeah, you never know.
And what can we expect from you? You recorded a podcast, I heard. You've written an extensive article people can find on our site.
Yeah, I wrote a story on the system of work framework combined with the teamwork collection announcement and how teamwork graph and the AI agent play a role in connecting all of it together.
You can read that on Techzine.
Yeah, we're gonna publish the podcast I recorded with the president of Atlassian within the next few weeks at least, and I'm gonna try and work on a customer story, so to give people a bit of an idea how you can implement Atlassian in a successful way, which is not necessarily extremely easy. I found out because your organization needs to be ready for it as well. It is if you have a very old-fashioned hierarchical organizational structure, then connecting all the teams together and having three quarterly meetings and being able to go directly to an executive to actually talk about objectives and key results and all that stuff. That's not that easy in every organization, I think. So you need to look at that as well if you look at the system of work and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that's about it, I think.
And in the fall is Team Europe again, probably.
Yeah, the first week of October. I think they have the same. They have the same week, I think, as last year. But they try to
Okay. We'll see.
try to keep the cadence up. That's good.
I think that's a good summary of what you saw this week and a good perspective for our readers and viewers. So let's wrap up and yeah, till the next one.